blood, chaos. A masked phantom striking from the shadows. December 8th on Monday Night Raw wasn't just another episode, it was a massacre wrapped in mystery, where careers were ended, legends were humbled, and one question echoed through the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City: who is the ghost wearing the mask? Before this night was over, LA Knight would be broken, Rey Mysterio would be left devastated, and the Vision would paint the canvas red with domination. If you think you know what happened, think again. What we witnessed wasn't just wrestling, it was warfare. Now before we dive into this absolute carnage, I need you to do something for me. If you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, if that adrenaline is pumping through your veins just thinking about what went down on Raw, then please, hit that subscribe button. Join the SLAMZONE family because we break down every jaw-dropping moment, every backstage secret, every twist that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment telling me who you think is behind that mask. Because this story, this mystery, it's bigger than any of us imagined, and we're going to uncover the truth together. The night began with tension already thick in the air. Rey Mysterio, the legendary Hall of Famer, was scheduled for a match against Finn Balor. Simple enough, right? But nothing in WWE is ever simple when Paul Heyman's Vision is lurking in the shadows. Last week, Rey Mysterio had the audacity to slap Logan Paul across the face, and you could feel it all week long. Revenge was coming. The Maverick doesn't forget. The Vision doesn't forgive. Backstage, before Mysterio's match, we saw something chilling. Paul Heyman stood with his soldiers: Braun Breaker, the unhinged beast who pinned CM Punk at War Games, Bronson Reed, the 300-pound wrecking ball, and Logan Paul, the social media superstar turned legitimate threat. Logan was furious, asking everyone if they saw what Rey did to him. Breaker and Reed assured him they'd handle it. But it was Heyman, the master manipulator, who slid those brass knuckles across the table to Logan with a sinister smile. Just in case, Heyman whispered. Just in case. Rey Mysterio's music hit. The crowd erupted because Kansas City knows greatness when they see it. This man has given everything to this business: his body, his soul, his legacy. He walked down that ramp with his mask gleaming under the lights, ready for another battle. But he never made it to Finn Balor. Logan Paul exploded from the entrance ramp like a viper striking from the grass. He blindsided Rey before the bell even had a chance to ring, tackling him to the mat with vicious punches. The crowd gasped. This wasn't a match anymore, this was an assault. Logan grabbed Rey by the mask and hurled him into the ring like a ragdoll. You could see the desperation in Rey's eyes as he tried to fight back, throwing kicks and punches, but Logan was relentless. The Maverick had those brass knuckles hidden, and he was ready to use them. Paul loaded up, winding back for a knockout blow with the knuckles, but Rey's veteran instincts kicked in. He ducked, landed a perfect kick to Logan's gut, and the crowd came alive. This was Rey's moment to turn it around. He whipped Logan into the ropes, set him up perfectly, and called for the 619, the move that has finished legends, the move that has won championships. But then the lights seemed to dim. The energy shifted. And from the shadows, he appeared. The masked attacker from Survivor Series War Games. The Phantom. The ghost who helped Braun Breaker pin CM Punk and win the match for the Vision. Black hoodie. Black mask. Moving with purpose, with lethal intent. The crowd's roar turned into shocked silence as this mysterious figure slid into the ring behind Rey Mysterio. Rey never saw him coming. The attacker's boot connected with Rey's jaw in a devastating superkick that echoed throughout the arena. Rey crumpled to the canvas like his soul had left his body. The masked man stood over him for just a second, then disappeared back into the darkness as quickly as he arrived. Logan Paul, recovering from the earlier exchange, saw Rey lying helpless. He slipped on those brass knuckles, wound up, and connected with a sickening punch that knocked Rey completely unconscious. The thud of Rey hitting the mat was the only sound you could hear. Medical staff rushed to the ring, but the damage was done. Rey Mysterio, a Hall of Famer, a legend, a father figure to so many, was left broken in the center of the ring. And that's when LA Knight's music hit. The megastar stormed down the ramp, and you could see the fire in his eyes. Knight has never been one to stand by and watch injustice happen. He charged toward Logan Paul, who quickly retreated, backing up the ramp with Heyman covering him. The match never officially started, but everyone knew, everyone felt that this was far from over. You see, LA Knight and Logan Paul have been circling each other for weeks. Knight represents everything real in wrestling: the grind, the passion, the hunger to prove you belong at the top. Logan Paul represents the outsider, the influencer who walked into WWE with millions of followers and the backing of Paul Heyman's Vision. The collision course was set, and later that night, they would collide in the main event. Before we get there, let me remind you, if you're invested in this story, if you want to see where this mystery leads, you need to be part of the SLAMZONE family. Subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment. Comment below and let me know, do you think the masked attacker is Austin Theory? Montez Ford? Someone we haven't even considered? This community is where the real discussion happens, and I want to hear your theories. Hours later, the main event was set. LA Knight vs. Logan Paul. Paul Heyman stood at ringside, the puppet master pulling the strings. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed flanked Logan, two mountains of muscle ready to interfere at any moment. Knight knew the odds were stacked against him, but he's never backed down from a fight in his life. The bell rang, and Logan Paul immediately went on the offensive, landing punches and kicks with surprising aggression. But Knight is a veteran. He absorbed the punishment, waited for his opening, and exploded with a thunderous clothesline that sent Logan over the top rope. The crowd was electric. Knight rearranged the announce table, signaling his intention someone was going through that table tonight. Logan tried to attack from behind, but Knight was ready. He grabbed Logan and smashed his face into the steel ring post. Blood started to trickle from Logan's nose. Knight was in full control now, whipping Logan around the ringside area like a tornado of rage. He rolled Logan back into the ring and delivered a massive elbow drop that shook the canvas. Knight went for the cover. 1, 2, kick out. That's when Breakker and Bronson Reed started making their presence known. They stalked around the ring like wolves circling prey. The referee kept glancing at them, distracted, which was exactly what the Vision wanted. Knight climbed to the top rope, the crowd on their feet, ready for a high-risk maneuver. But Breakker climbed onto the apron, getting in Knight's face. The referee rushed over to force Breakker down, but the damage was done. The distraction worked. Logan Paul recovered, met Knight on the top rope, and hit a massive superplex that rattled every bone in Knight's body. Both men lay motionless in the center of the ring. The crowd was chanting "This is awesome," because they knew they were witnessing something special. Knight and Logan both struggled to their feet, trading punches in the middle of the ring. Each shot echoed with the intensity of two warriors refusing to quit. Knight got the upper hand, hitting a DDT that planted Logan headfirst into the canvas. He went for another cover. 1, 2, THR kick out. Logan barely got his shoulder up, and you could see the frustration building on Knight's face. The referee finally had enough of Breakker and Reed's interference. He threw them out. Ejected them from ringside. The crowd erupted in approval. This was going to be a fair fight now. Knight had Logan exactly where he wanted him. He signaled for the blunt force trauma, his finishing move. Logan was staggering, barely able to stand. But then it happened again. The masked attacker returned. The hooded figure sprinted down the ramp while the referee's back was turned. Knight was setting up Logan near the announce table, pulling him to the outside, ready to deliver the final blow. The attacker didn't hesitate. He grabbed Knight's head with both hands and drove it down onto the announce table with a vicious curb stomp. The table didn't break, it just absorbed all the impact directly into Knight's skull. You could hear the sickening thud. Knight collapsed to the floor, eyes glazed over, completely out of it. The masked man vanished into the crowd as quickly as he appeared. Logan Paul, barely conscious himself, dragged Knight's lifeless body back into the ring. He climbed to the top rope, took a moment to pose for the cameras, and launched himself into the air with his signature frog splash. Textbook execution. He hooked the leg. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang. Logan Paul had won, but not on his own merit. He won because of the Phantom and the mask. But the nightmare for LA Knight was just beginning. As soon as the bell rang, Breakker stormed back down to the ring. Knight was trying to pull himself up using the ropes, still dazed from the attack. Breakker lined him up. Spear. The impact was so violent that Knight's body folded in half. He was unconscious before he even hit the mat. The crowd was in shock, some fans covering their mouths, others booing at the top of their lungs. Bronson Reed climbed into the ring, all 300 pounds of pure devastation. He looked at Knight lying motionless and climbed to the top rope. The arena held its breath. Reed launched himself backward with the tsunami, his crushing senton bomb that has ended careers. He crashed down onto Knight's chest with such force that you could feel the shockwave. But Reed wasn't done. He climbed up again. Another tsunami. Knight's ribs had to be shattered. The medical staff tried to rush in, but Paul Heyman held them back, gesturing for one more. Reed climbed up a third time. The crowd was chanting "Please don't," but Reed had no mercy. He delivered a third tsunami, and this time, you could see officials from the back sprinting down to the ring. They finally pulled Reed off and began tending to Knight, who looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Paul Heyman grabbed a microphone, standing in the ring with Logan Paul, Breakker, and Bronson Reed surrounding him like a pack of wolves. The crowd was raining down boos, but Heyman soaked it in. "Kansas City, I introduce myself," Heyman began, his voice dripping with arrogance. "I am Paul Heyman, and these men are the Vision. And I truly don't understand what you're booing for." The boos got even louder. Heyman insulted the city, mocking whether they even knew if they were in Kansas City, Kansas or Kansas City, Missouri. Then Heyman dropped the bombshell that sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. "One thing I can tell you," Heyman continued, "is that on January 5th, you will have a new world heavyweight champion, and his name will be Breakker." Breakker grabbed the microphone from Heyman, his eyes wild with intensity. "I got one question," Breakker shouted. "Where is CM Punk?" The crowd erupted at the mention of Punk's name, but Breakker wasn't done. "He's not here. Because if he was here, there would be 2 losses back-to-back in Kansas City." Breakker paced the ring like a caged animal, his frustration boiling over. "I don't believe in this new, nice CM Punk," Breakker continued. "Where's the guy from 2011, 2012, 2013? The guy who beat The Rock and held the championship for 434 days. That's the CM Punk I looked up to as a kid. That's the CM Punk I want to destroy." The intensity in Breakker's voice was chilling. He wasn't just calling out Punk, he was begging for the old, ruthless, vicious version of the best in the world to return so he could prove himself by conquering a legend. "If you don't bring back that CM Punk," Breakker said, his voice dropping to an ominous growl, "I will destroy you anyway. I will take your title. And I will take your wife, AJ Lee, too." The crowd gasped at the personal attack. Breakker had crossed a line. This wasn't just about championships anymore, it was personal. It was war. On the big screen, we saw medical staff helping LA Knight to the back. He could barely walk, his ribs wrapped, his face bruised and battered. But the vision wasn't finished. Logan Paul and Bronson Reed saw the footage and took off running to the back. The camera followed them as they found Knight in the backstage area, struggling to make it to the trainer's room. They attacked him from behind. Security tried to intervene, but Reed and Paul overpowered them. They lifted Knight high into the air and powerbombed him through a production table. The table exploded into pieces, and Knight lay in the wreckage, completely motionless. But even that wasn't enough for Reed. He spotted a car parked nearby and dragged Knight's broken body onto the hood. Reed climbed onto the roof of the car, the entire structure shaking under his weight. The crowd watching on the arena screens was screaming no, but Reed had no conscience. He leaped off the roof with one final tsunami, crashing down onto Knight on top of the car. The windshield shattered. The car's alarm started blaring. EMTs rushed to the scene, frantically trying to assess Knight's condition. The show went off the air with that haunting image, LA Knight's body lying on a destroyed car, medical staff surrounding him, and the Vision standing tall in the background, watching the destruction they had caused. This wasn't just a wrestling match. This wasn't just entertainment. What we witnessed on December 8th was a statement. The Vision isn't just a faction, it's a movement. Paul Heyman has assembled a group of destroyers who will stop at nothing to control Monday Night Raw. And at the center of this chaos is a masked attacker whose identity remains the biggest mystery in WWE today. Is it Austin Theory, as some reports suggest? Dave Meltzer reported that Theory was under the mask at Survivor Series War Games, and that Heyman wanted to bring him into the Vision to protect Breakker and Reed from taking pinfall losses. Theory would have been in the War Games match if Jacob Fatu hadn't gotten injured, which shifted the storyline and brought Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre into the mix instead. But Bryan Alvarez threw another wrench into the mystery by reporting that WWE might be using multiple people under the mask to throw fans off. He specifically mentioned that Montez Ford is believed to have worn the mask during the December 8th episode of Raw. Heyman is a massive fan of both Ford and Theory, which adds fuel to the speculation. Could WWE be rotating performers under that mask to keep everyone guessing? Are we dealing with one attacker or a network of soldiers working for the Vision? The brilliance of this storyline is the uncertainty. Every time that masked figure appears, we analyze the body type, the movements, the mannerisms. But if WWE is deliberately using different people, then we're all being played. And honestly, that's genius booking. It keeps us talking. It keeps us speculating. It keeps us tuning in every single Monday night to see if we can finally solve the puzzle. But beyond the mystery, let's talk about the destruction we witnessed. LA Knight was absolutely obliterated. Multiple tsunamis. A powerbomb through a table. A final tsunami on top of a car. This is the kind of beatdown that writes someone off television for months. Knight is tough, he's resilient, but there's only so much the human body can take. The question now is, when Knight returns, what kind of monster will he become? Because you don't survive something like that and come back the same person. And Rey Mysterio, the Hall of Famer, the legend, the master of the 619, he was taken out in seconds by a superkick from a masked coward. Rey has been wrestling for over 3 decades, and to see him laid out like that, it stings. It reminds us that no matter how legendary you are, no matter how many championships you've held, the Vision doesn't care about your legacy. They care about dominance. They care about sending a message. But the most terrifying part of this entire saga is Braun Breaker. This man pinned CM Punk clean in the middle of the ring at War Games. He's the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and he's calling out the old CM Punk, the vicious, ruthless, pipe-bomb-dropping, anti-hero version that made Punk a legend in the first place. If that version of CM Punk returns, we're not getting a wrestling match on January 5th. We're getting a war. We're getting 2 of the most dangerous men in WWE trying to end each other's careers. This is where legends are made. This is where careers are defined. And this is why you need to be subscribed to SLAMZONE, because over the next few weeks leading up to that championship match, we're going to break down every promo, every attack, every twist in this story. Drop a comment right now and tell me, do you think CM Punk will bring back his old persona? Can he even beat Braun Breaker in his current state? And most importantly, who is under that mask? If this video got your heart racing, if you felt every moment of that chaos, then do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this with your wrestling friends who need to know what happened on Raw. Turn on notifications so you never miss when we upload, because trust me, this story is far from over. The Vision is just getting started, and we're going to be here every step of the way to document it all. Kansas City witnessed something historic on December 8th. They saw the Vision stake their claim as the most dangerous faction in WWE. They saw a mystery deepen with every masked appearance. They saw LA Knight's body broken and his spirit tested. They saw Rey Mysterio humbled by a phantom. And they heard Braun Breaker declare war on CM Punk in the most personal way imaginable. The road to January 5th is going to be paved with blood, sweat, and shattered dreams. The World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. The identity of the masked attacker hangs in the balance. And somewhere in the back, CM Punk is watching, calculating, preparing for the fight of his life. This is wrestling at its finest. This is storytelling that grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go. This is why we love this business. Because when it's done right, when the stakes are real, the emotions are raw, and the mystery is genuine, there's nothing else like it in the world. Thank you for being part of the SLAMZONE family. Thank you for investing in these stories with me. Thank you for caring about this incredible art form we call professional wrestling. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Tell me who you think is under that mask. Tell me if you believe Braun Breaker can beat CM Punk. Tell me if LA Knight will ever be the same. Until next time, this is SLAMZONE, and we'll see you at the next breakdown. Stay passionate, stay loud, and never stop believing in the magic of wrestling.